Well, hello everybody, welcome back to Camper Cola's workshop. As you can see, we're back on the lathe. This is my first metal project I've done with the lathe. So I'll just review some of the tools I've used and how they've coped. But as you can see, what I'm doing is, and I've probably 2/3 through, I'm just doing an axle, a replacement axle for my scooter. So I'm basically copying this above here. So you can see that I've drilled and tapped the cross bolt there. I've tapped this here. It doesn't have to be exact, that's okay. There's some room for maneuver here, but I've tapped using the tapping tool I'll show you in a minute, this end here, and machined obviously down to here. So I'm just going to carry on machining this bit for a while, and then I'm going to finish off and do some straight edges on that part there. So just putting on a bit of sods there, and we're off. So I'm fairly close to the chuck here, so what I'm basically doing is leaving it on the train till it gets reasonably close to the stop that I want to make, and then disengaging. I'm just finishing off just manually there until I can feel that it's come up against the edge, keeping my finger on the stop button all the time just in case there's a problem with disengagement. So we'll just do that again. So I'm not taking that much off at a time, I'm just doing it very gently. I don't want to overload anything. Just taking it slow. Okay, back again. Just till I feel the collar. That's it, the collar can come down a little bit, slightly large there, that collar there, but that's I'll finish that off. Okay, and we'll do another turn. So I'm on about 550 RPM for this, with a tungsten tool, which has performed very well actually. Go again. I've basically got to come down to here, to that diameter there. Just again, so it's right up against the collar there. Off we go again. And just finishing off manually again. Okay, so we've got a bit further with this now. As you can see, I've cut out this section here, and I'm just going to do this little indent here. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but I'm going to be more or less 100% accurate with it. That's just for a bearing, I think, so it doesn't get hot. It's just a little cut in, so there's not direct pressure from the shaft onto the bearing. I might put a bit of grease in that as well. By the way, if you've noticed this, ignore it. Basically, when I got this, I forgot to send it back, or to get a new one. And basically, on this piece of chocolate metal here, the thread into the main part of the tool post here, the nut part, was basically falling out. And I would have had to put a thread insert in there and gone through all the trouble of putting a thread insert in there. So I just welded it. It's welded fine, it just needs dressing down a bit, and I haven't bothered with that yet. So, but anyway, as you can see, that's fixed that. Bit of welding, there you go. And some good news for me, because the Amazon seller has sent me a new block, this time not with holes in it. So that's a much better ground block for the tool post here. Yeah, much better block for the tool post down here. And also they've sent me some jib strips, which I did ask for undrilled, so I could drill my own, well, mill my own holes in this case. So they did manage to send me some new jib strips. If you remember, mine were all drilled in the wrong place, so I was getting, the screws were going off the indent there. Anyway, they've sent me one for the cross slide here that's not pre-drilled, so I'll be able to accurately mill some holes in there. This one I won't bother with at the moment until I take the whole section off. Then I'll have a look and see which is better. But anyway, so I've got my parts. So that is 46 mil. Just check that. Okay, that is just go up very slightly, I think. There, okay, that'll do. That'll be our start point. Okay, so we'll go in there and mark that. This is how I'd normally mark it. I'll just very gently do that. So you've got a scribe line around the area that you want to cut. Just come back out again, go down to here, to the next bit, which is right, that is 34 mil from that part. Okay, so we'll just get that lined up at 34 mil. Need to come back down slightly more. There we go. So that'll do. Maybe a tiny bit more. Okay, that'll do. I'll just scribe that and start from there. Oh, I just moved it. That wasn't very clever. Right, that'll do. Yeah, that's more or less it. Right, this time I'll try not to move it. Just put a scribe mark in there and we'll get started. Okay. Suds on and lathe on. Very gently to start off with. 5:30 I think I'm at, so I'll just very gently do this. First stroke, that's us. I'll just engage the gears to get a smooth stroke. That's just how I do things. Okay, just nipping a bit off there. Just going 0.1 I think. That seems to be plenty enough for this steel. And off again. Tiny bit of manual up to the end. Might do. How are we doing? We're not that well. Actually, we're not that far off. Maybe I'll just do one more. Okay, right, I think that's that for that. I think that'll be enough clicking. Maybe just one more. Yeah, well, I will do one more, just a tiny bit more. Okay, now that is it. Definitely. That'll definitely do it. I don't think I need to weaken the bar that much for this bearing. I think that'll be plenty. Okay. Right. So what we'll do now is I think I'm going to take this out and machine the end of this now to reproduce the left-hand thread that you can see that we've got here. That's it. So actually no, I'm going to just tidy these two collars up and then I'm going to finish this part off and put in the left hand screw thread that I've got to do for this. The right hand was fine, I've done here, but I've got to do a left hand up here. Okay, so that's it for now. As you can see, we're just back and I'm just tidying up these corners of the collars here with a tungsten tool I got off eBay, which I've had to resharpen a few times actually. So there's not a great deal left of this one. There we go, I've just caught something. We'll have a look and see what's going on. So yeah, still a bit of a colour on that. I'm just going to go and take that off, I think. A little bit more of that colour. That's it. And that part actually has got to fit into the hub, so but that's got to go into the hub there, so that can be slightly bigger, which it is slightly bigger, but that is not going to make any difference to the hub brake unit in there, because it's going to be working inside here. So as long as this collar's not too large that it gets stuck in this part here, we'll be fine. So I think we're okay with that. Okay, so I'm satisfied with those, and I'm going to just cut the steel off to level for this screw end here, which I've already done the work for just up to there. So I'm just going to cut this bit off and then machine this down. Okay, so at the moment we're just doing a face off of the end where the left hand screw is going to be. So I've just taken off I'm just taking off down to here, so I've probably got another 1.5 mils to go, something like that. So just doing that very slowly. Then we should be done. Okay, well we're now at the tailstock with the thread die. I've put the die in here, left hand die, 10mm M10. This is a reasonably nice die I got off Amazon for about £30. My only complaint is all the grub screws are a different size, so you need 3 Allen keys to undo all of these, which is a bit irritating. You can extend the this part of the die here outwards, which obviously increases the throat down here, which I had to use on the other end of this bar, because it was slightly deeper than it would allow just on this setting. So you just move this along the bar and then put those grub screws down, obviously, and tighten them up. So I am now cutting. I'm going to put a bit more studs in here, and we're going to go for a cut. So this comes with a handle. So okay, well I've actually found it easier to use the chuck than this, and just let the rod, a steadying rod, just sit there. So I'll just take up the slack again. Okay, so I'm just using the chuck as the main twist element of this, just because it's easier. So I think we're getting a thread in here. So there seems to be plenty of metal coming off anyway. A bit more suds. I'm probably going to go close towards the end of this, because what I don't want to do is have to redo this again because it's too short. So I'll just go fairly close to the end. It's not going to make any difference to this axle, I don't think, at all. Breaking the bead there. Take up the slack. As you can see, this is moving here, which it shouldn't do. What I really need to do is we'll have to drill in a couple of holes, or mill in a couple of holes I should say, where the grub screws go, so that doesn't happen, because that's not really ideal. Right, I think I'm actually coming to the end of this in terms of how far I need to actually cut. Yeah, I think we're probably nearly done there. I'm just going to do maybe another couple of rotations, and just get this out. Just checking how far I have got down here. Right, I think that should be enough. Oh yeah, that's plenty. Okay, so we'll just come back out now. We've done that. I'm just going to go back again, just to, there we go, just forward again, just to make sure everything's nice and cut. See, that's extending there instead of from the tailstock, which it shouldn't be doing, but never mind. We'll just make sure we've got a good cut thread there. And come back again, make sure the tailstock's off, so it's not putting any pressure back on the tailstock. Okay, well, I'm going to go for it now and see what we've actually got here. Okay, right, well, so that's more or less spot on. Yeah, I might do a little bit of just a little bit of smoothing down there. Right, the moment of truth. We'll try and put this left-hand nut on. See what happens. Is it straight? Will it work? Is that the right nut? Who knows? All of these things. There we go. Okay. Right. Well, after all that, finito. Okay, welcome back. I thought I'd just do a quick plenary session on the tools I've used and how the lathe performed to produce my axle. So as you can see, that's the finished product there, and I've deliberately not machined these areas identically because they don't need to be machined identically. And I would say the other reason I didn't do these identically is because I did notice that this here, which is not really required, by the way, in the design of the system itself, that's the weakest point there. Now, you might say that this is also the weakest point, but at least there is actually more metal deposited on the screw thread than there is right down here. So what they've done is, by just making that nice and neat, they've actually just made two quite weak points there. So that's the story, the other part of the story behind me leaving that there, which has no effect at all on the wheel or anything like that. So yeah, just an interesting design feature, if you could call it that. But personally, I would have done it that way, just to make sure that there was much less force, well, much less possibility of a shear there. Anyway, so that's the finished product, and with the collars here, that one's a bit longer. It doesn't matter actually, that in fact it's going to work better with that longer collar there. It was the distances between this part of the collar here and that part of the collar there which were the important ones, which I've matched on my version. And I did a left-hand thread there, which I'm very pleased with. So, as I say, I haven't done any engineering on a lathe for 20 years, so I'm quite happy that this has turned out how it has. So yeah, so I've got the threads, and I did a another internal thread there with a tap. I bought a Sealy 76 piece tap and die set, which has worked very well actually. I didn't get the left hand die in it obviously, but the right hand die and the tap worked very well. So I'm quite happy with that. That was about 80 quid I think off eBay. So let's have a look at what's happened with the tools. So this is the for the die, and as you can see, that goes into the MT3 tailstock here. And I'll just move these over a bit so you can see that properly. Yeah, so that's the MT2 tailstock, and this die mechanism goes on the end of that. So that's the left hand die I've got in there, held on by these 3 grub screws, and this is the adapter here, the 30mm adapter. See, I was going to put some extra grub screws in there. I haven't got around to threading those holes yet. This basically, this hub part here sits on a shaft underneath here. So as I said in the turning video, you can just move the shaft up to get more of a throat down there. So this worked very well, much better than I thought it was going to be, because basically I was able to keep the thread right central on the lathe, and also I could turn it holding onto the chuck, and using this, and then using the chuck, and having this as the stabilizer. So I was able to get a very nice cut thread, actually very central. I'm really happy with those threads. Better, they came out better than I thought they were going to do actually. So yeah, really happy with those. So that was fine. And as I said, there's just these screws here that actually just go onto a bare shaft, which caused a problem. They rotated. So what I'm going to have to do, as I said, is just mill a few holes in there just to stop it rotating, although it didn't make any difference. It may have helped, but I don't want that to happen. So very happy with that tool. As I say, that was about £30. With regards to the moving centre, I got off Amazon. That was fine. That was about, no, sorry, eBay, that one. That's 20 quid. That was great. You can see there's no wear on the end of that, and that worked very well for me. More tools off eBay. This is the drill chuck I got. I think that was about £15. MT3 again. I have got a large one off my drill, pillar drill, but I wanted a small one as well. I don't think that drill bit has done so well. I think that might have snapped slightly. That'd probably be my fault. So yeah, quite happy with those. And the 2 main bits that I used were, this is a blue tungsten one from Amazon. That was about 10 quid for a set. Let me just see if I can find that set for you. So this is the blue set of tungsten tools I got off Amazon, and this is the, I think, £7 set I got off eBay. So you'll probably recognise those if you've been shopping around. Now this one, the blue one from this set, performed really well, I think. I haven't finished this as well as it should have been done, but it doesn't need to be finished well. But yeah, I cut most of it with that blue one, tungsten tip, and that's still going. That's still very sharp. And the one that I was a bit disappointed with was this one, which again, you'll recognise that's a set, I think £29 for a 7 set of these tungsten tools here. So I probably pushed this tungsten tool way too far, but yeah, I had to sharpen it a few times. So I'm not quite up to speed with sharpening, so I'm just had to practice whilst I did it. But it did do the job in the end, but I did have to cut it, as I say, sharpen that quite a lot. But it's still working. It just needs another, I think it just needs a tip, angle sorting out, and a bit more sharpening, it'd be okay again. So this was just, I was cutting standard steel. This is not sure what that is, but this is just standard steel, which I thought would be fine for its intended usage. Yeah, so that's everything's worked out very well. I didn't think I'd get that done on the first go, but I did. The lathe, since I did the bars, the jib bar, I did actually remill the one that was the worst, the jib bar, and that's now flat, and I think it's not caused me any problems with accuracy. But that's it. So any comments on what I've done, how I've used the tools, anything you want to know about, let me know. But that's it. So that's the first metal piece that I've done on the lathe, and the suds and everything was contained in all the waterproofing I've done, and the fan worked fine. So I'm very happy with that. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do as the first metal piece, and I've achieved that, and that all fits in the scooter and it's fine. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you again soon.